Look, life is short, and I am not mad that David Ayer, like David Gordon Green, gets all these blank checks to make subpar movies. I just want equality and these opportunities to be equally distributed so that other directors can also make more than one subpar movie without their career going down the drain. Hello, everyone. My name is Max Aaron James. This is a review of the movie The Beekeeper, written by Kurt Wimmer, who I was surprised when I looked up his filmography, other movies he worked on. He made a lot of movies that you've heard of, but that aren't very good. He did do Law Abiding Citizen, and I know that's pretty popular. And I would say it's good until the final act, where it kind of, well, it's not kind of, it does do a cop out. I would put Kurt Wimmer's movies into a category of people that probably think like Zack Snyder is their Christopher Nolan. And the movie is directed by David Ayer, who also makes a lot of subpar movies but that you've definitely heard of. Both Wimmer and Ayer, I believe they worked on with each other a couple times before, and they make movies that I would not say are popular but very well marketed. There are movies you would remember or recognize if someone brought them up, but you never think about them, or you forget about them until someone brings them up. The Beekeeper stars Jason Statham, who plays our lead, who goes on a rampage after a company or organization that scams people out of millions of dollars, ends up targeting and scamming someone that he happens to know. I had two immediate things that came to mind while watching the movie. One is it's been 20 years and Jason Statham is still a military veteran as far as what he the character he plays in these movies. And also, why is this movie 2 hours long? It isn't really 2 hours long, but it definitely feels like it. I think around the second infiltration in this movie of the second building getting attacked, or Jason Statham's character going into it, I'll just call him the Beekeeper. I thought the movie was gonna reach a conclusion, but no, there was a lot left. The pacing was killing me, and even with it not being 2 hours but feeling like 2 hours, I still feel that maybe 20 minutes was cut out because there were some transitions or scenes when we cut to another location, another scene. It felt like we were missing some information and we just had to accept how we got there or make it up in our minds as we were going along. So that is one thing. The transitions took me out because it felt like I was missing dialogue. Speaking of dialogue, a bit of it was too on the nose, too expository, or led to an undeserved or very unnecessary monologue. There are quite a bit of B analogies and B puns, and Jeremy Irons, if my memory serves me right, gets most of them, which is fine. I guess I think they knew like this is a character or the actor that's going to play him, Jeremy Irons, is passable, right? He gets a pass for making these bad jokes. If someone asked me whether they should watch this movie in theaters, if it's worth watching, I would first ask, do you like Jason Statham? Because he plays pretty much the same character all the time. And he has been in some good movies. And I think a lot of it more is attributed to the director and writer opposed to who's cast in it, especially if it's Jason Statham. Still, there are a few action sequences worth taking a look at in this movie, especially the one-on-one fight at the end, which I wonder if a lot of the time was spent on the choreography for that, as to why they didn't invest the same energy and effort into other action scenes. Many of the other fight sequences had too much cutting, too much jumping from angle to angle. It took me out. They felt rushed, and there was even a scene of Beekeeper v. Beekeeper, and it just felt out of place and undeserved, especially the character that they presented as the other Beekeeper felt like that character came from a completely different movie or different world, different universe, something. It just made no sense, and it wasn't believable that this person replaced the Beekeeper that we are following. Also, in this world that this movie takes place in, Beekeeper is a moniker, which makes sense because I'm sure a lot of us can see Beekeeper being a code name for, even in this world, for maybe an undercover agent or spy or hitman. But it's not clear as to why it's also the job presented to each Beekeeper, each of these agents. It came off in a way to me that Beekeeper, the profession, is reserved for the people in these positions that are called beekeepers and part of this organization of beekeepers. At least, again, that's how it was presented to me, because I feel that some dialogue was cut out and some scenes may have been cut out. Now, there is a standout in this movie, and that is Josh Hutcherson. If we can get Hutcherson in a role similar to this one, where he's a pretentious, rich asshole guy who dresses kind of funny and has this idea of everything's fine because my money saves me, just the way he presented this antagonist, if we can get that character and him in that same role in a movie worth recommending, we should do it. I liked his role and his arc and his dynamic with Jeremy Irons' character much more than the Beekeeper's plot in this A story. The B and C story were much more interesting, or at least much more tolerable. The two agents that we follow, they were fine. They had a dynamic that was, very formulaic, so it's something to for the audience to at least settle with and tolerate and maybe get some entertainment or joy out of it. Even the main agent, FBI agent that we follow, I thought we were going to kind of follow her in this journey of trying to keep up with Statham's character and trying to figure out what's the beekeeper doing? This person being the primary suspect for what happened in the beginning, the inciting incident. It felt more like I was watching this character also just see things happening and just get to the place at the last minute, but nothing really, her not really doing anything about that. It just felt like, oh, something happened, let's go check it out, and that was it. So as far as the agents, I was at least interested in the idea of Emmy Raver Lampman and Bobby Naderi, the actors. I have nothing to say about Statham because you either like him or you don't. As far as an actor, I don't think he really adds anything to the screen. It's a matter of him being in decent action movies. I think he toes the line between Liam Neeson and Keanu Reeves, where it's kind of believable he can do what he can do, but whoever's directing it or editing, and maybe even Jason Statham, just is not willing to really try too much or put much effort into his films anymore, that there are so many cutscenes that it just takes you out. But the action sequences are much more watchable. Until next time, y'all take care of each other. Make sure you check up on one another. Wow. Make sure you check up on yourself, and remember, potential has no limit.